leaps of faith and just stepping out.
Mm-hmm.
And that elder board stepped out, and we did this without a pastor,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
with an interim.
To be able to stand back there and just take all that in Sunday after Sunday, the choir and everything was going up on the stage and so forth, and to look out.
I remember the first service we had on the property, and the choir sang Holy Ground.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
It was tears.
That,
You know, God was up there kind of chuckling a little bit, saying, well, you got close.
Jesus, find us here. Send your glory down. You change the atmosphere. We live to see your kingdom now. Father, you are here. Watch your children dance. We'll be fools for you. We'll do the things we see you do. We believe what you said. We believe all the things you've done. You said we will do the same, and we'll do greater things. We'll do greater things.
Sherry's done a great job of kind of, giving some of the background on some of the history of things. But let's all talk a little bit too about what defined those early years in the church for you. So,
Yeah.
Sherry's talked about some of the spirit, right? Which was that all-in attitude, and whatever it
yeah.
takes.
David mentioned that too.
So, but
Well, and how interesting, because we're all in for ECI now.
Yeah,
right?
there you go. There you go.
So just as a couple, if you could talk about what defined those early years in the church for you.
We asked our oldest daughter tonight, when it was home, Tana, what she remembered the most. And she said
And she's how old now?
she is 31.
Wow.
So she was 6.
Wow.
So she said, well, we had church at the convention center,
Yeah.
and we had the children's was over in the
Uh-huh.
children's museum.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
she said that was pretty amazing. And,
I remember helping
That's so
teach
great.
Vacation Bible School over there in the Children's Museum. How much fun the kids had. It was
Yeah.
very, very cool.
We always said we couldn't beat that.
No.
You know, one thing that I remember that was neat is because we often met in the Horizon Center, and at that point, if you remember, the Muncie Mission was
Oh,
across
yes.
the street.
Yes.
We would have a lot of mission guys that would come in to services, and so it's interesting.
A lot of that
That's
thanks to
where.
Pat.
Well, you didn't work there at that point,
No.
did you?
No.
Yeah,
No, way
and so
before.
just like interesting that comes full circle there too in our partnership now with the mission, but that was an early thing for us.
That's so funny because that just brings up a memory that I had forgotten totally. And that was at one point in time in our church, when we first joined, there was a bread baking ministry. Do you remember that?
Yes, I
And
do.
I had kind of taken
Visitors.
over responsibility for organizing that and for getting women in the church to bake bread, and then whoever was there that was a visitor that week, we would send home a loaf with them. But when we didn't have visitors, we would take the bread over to the mission.
Oh,
And I just had totally forgotten about that. That's so funny. I'm
Yeah.
so glad you mentioned that because I had totally forgotten about that. But it was really cool, and it was neat because I got to meet a lot of people in the church that kind of were
Yeah.
more quiet and didn't want to be out there, but had talents that were really important to making
Yeah.
people feel welcome and
hospitality.
yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I too am curious about some of the rest of your experiences and those early moments, those early services, meeting at Delta.
I remember walking a lot because I was doing the count every Sunday,
Uh-huh.
and it was Children's Museum, that. But here's what really got good. We would continue to have the kids down at the Children's Museum, like when we were at the Civic Theater. I would walk from the Civic Theater down there to get to count the kids and so forth. Now, it was bad weather, I drove, but nice weather, I just walked. And the same thing for the cornerstone for the performing arts. And just for the record,
Or Muncie Central.
now Muncie Central, many times we had it. There was a room where we could have the kids
Oh,
there at
okay.
Central, so that cut down on my walking. But I just remember that, and that's probably unique, for all those years.
Yeah, I
but
forgot they were split up.
but there was just, it was, from my point of view, to be able to stand back there and just take all that in Sunday after Sunday, the choir and everything was going up on the stage and so forth, and to look out. And then, as you remember, sometimes we were in the large room, but then there was a period of time where we kind of moved up the steps, and we were on the
Interurban.
interurban room and so forth. But
Sunday school classes on the second floor.
yeah,
Yes.
and we had
Oh,
Sunday school classes, walking around
Yep.
and collecting offerings, and
You get your steps in.
yeah, that's why I said I hadn't thought about that, but I did a lot of walking then, and that went on for a lot of years. But I think we just mentioned everything, and then there was the other place we met, out on our property,
Mhm.
where we pitched the tent.
Yep.
Yeah.
On 3 and 28.
And
Yeah.
there again, that was we talk about people just jumping in and doing that. We had different things to do out there.
Mhm.
We need people to direct traffic and people to come in and actually mow the weeds down and to set up the sound and
And to even get electrical that we could use.
Oh,
that's
Lord.
right.
Well,
And
Fred
just
did that.
all of that.
Fred Futrell did that.
And just many things going around for weather and so forth. But
I remember the first service we had on the property, and the choir sang Holy Ground.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
It was tears
That-
everywhere.
The ground just shook. It was so beautiful. And
Yeah.
it
That
was
that was
in
gonna
our
be
hearts.
hard.
It was
Yeah.
beautiful.
there was a service too one time where Wayne and the staff had given everyone a stake, if you remember, and we were to put a name on that, and we were to go around the tent and tap
around
that.
the perimeter of
the-
where the plan was.
Okay, yeah, that general area, and we were to tap that stake in there, and I still remember that someone that we were praying for, that we would hope to come, not necessarily to the gathering, but someone we worked with, or a neighbor or family member, and
Speaking
but
of,
there was a lot of stakes in that ground.
speaking of plan, what about the model?
That was
Yeah,
pretty.
yeah.
That was pretty
during the
grandiose.
early, yeah,
That was-
before the
that was
flood,
something.
but-
It was like, what, 7 foot by 5 foot or something?
Yeah.
We actually moved it around
Lego
a
house.
It
bit.
had a great big altar that was like a giant bird bath. It had a foyer like a crystal cathedral.
Yep.
Do you
Little
remember
tree.
when
I
we
love that
had
church.
prayer meeting in the other half of the offices?
Yeah.
We had to have prayer meeting. And I remember one time, Karen's mom, Bobby, was apologizing because her son had shown up with a lady at church and she wasn't dressed really super modestly. And Bobby was a little embarrassed by that. And so she was apologizing to this prayer group, and somebody said, "Oh, Bobby, you gotta catch a fish before you clean it." It was a riot. We loved it. And that just kind of always stuck in my head. Yeah, she's right. She's totally right. So,
Yeah, there's been many people through the years. Well, invited church. Well, what should I wear? Whatever you want. to.
Yeah.
We don't-
yeah, yeah.
So worship is obviously a huge part of our church now,
Yes.
but has been just in
Yeah.
different forms
Yeah.
the whole
Right.
time, right? Like
Right.
we've shifted and changed at different times.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, because I'm not 100% sure, but everybody that was a part of the choir at some point, I know I was,
Mhm.
Sherry was,
Mhm.
Tara, Julie,
Julie.
Pat.
Pat.
Dan
Dan.
was.
Dan.
Dan was.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second, Dan.
Yeah.
Were you at one point, Cammy? No. No, David clapped in a.
Actually,
he clapped once.
Technically, I've been in the choir a few times, standing by those two, so I could hear what they were singing and try.
And now it's wonderful for me because my daughter. is
Yes.
singing.
And my son.
And your sons.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah.
so it's like the youth of
Yep.
all of that is
It's
very cool.
Yeah.
generational.
It's generational.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we've just consistently had great leadership in worship.
Yeah.
we did.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
excellent.
We had Clint
Had
Dunn.
Clint.
Uh-huh.
We had
And we had
Colin
Colin
Moneymaker.
Moneymaker, Furniture
Yes.
and
Oh my
David
gosh,
Lewis.
yes.
And then it was
Jennifer
David
Stanley.
And then it
Hasselmeyer.
was
Jennifer
David
Stanley.
Hasselmeyer,
Jennifer
then
Stanley
Jennifer
filled
Stanley.
Sarah Scarborough before
Sarah
With
Scarborough,
Jennifer Stanley
yeah.
was when we transitioned to a worship team, I think, wasn't it?
Because
Yeah.
Colin still had the choir.
Yeah.
But we kind of had a transition because people weren't able to get there on Wednesday evening choir
Uh-huh.
practice. But they would come on Sunday morning.
Jennifer
and it just
started
kind
out
of
with the
became.
choir,
Yeah.
but then it kind of transitioned
Yeah,
over to
kind of.
worship team.
So when we kind of came here, David Hasselmeyer was here, and I think we went to just a worship team.
Yeah. I led the choir for a little bit.
Yes,
and
you
did
did.
all
Yes.
transitions. So I
You
would
led
think
the
it
whole
was-
worship ministry for like 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Which was fun. Yeah.
You know what I love is that I grew up in the Methodist church, and I learned along the way in the Methodist church because they would just send a replacement pastor. We didn't get to pick
Yes.
a
Right.
replacement
Yes.
pastor. Like
Me
he would
too.
just occasionally be like, "Hey, you're getting a new pastor." It's like, "Oh, great." But the thing I learned through that process is that a church is so much more than your pastor.
Yes.
It's the people, and that's what I think is really cool. Is I love Stephanie, and I love what she has brought to this church and how she's leading us. But I love that tonight it's the people
Yeah.
that are here talking, and not just the lead pastor. And I think that's important because I think people need to realize that a church is the people. It's
Yes.
not just the leadership, because leaders will come and go, and they may have other callings and other passions and other things that lead them in different ways. But you need to have the foundation, because the heart of the church
Yeah.
is the people that attend the church.
And that
Exactly.
was so much a big part of our start was the people, because we didn't have a building.
Right.
Right.
You know, when
Right.
when the split happened, you know, it was we got the pastors, they got the building.
Mhm.
Yeah. Fair.
I think they got the money too. but-
Yeah.
But I mean, we started out as we weren't a church building at all. We were a church. We
Body.
were the people.
Yeah.
We drew a parody or likeness to roaming the desert
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we weren't sure where we were
did.
going to be, and we weren't sure how many years we were going to be
stuck
doing it,
up
and we did it
tent.
for years. What year did we
walked
come
around
here back?
town.
Yeah.
Well, 16 years ago.
16 years ago. 9 years, 9 years
So,
that we.
Has it really been 16 years in this building?
Yeah.
That is crazy. to me, too.
That is crazy too.
Yeah. I think my last year on staff, paid staff, was the year that we moved in here.
Wow.
Yep.
So,
Just couldn't stand to work in a building.
so we had a long stint as a good sized church. I mean, we had what,
Yeah.
at some point 700.
We
Six.
figured out at one
I think
point.
it was anywhere from, probably highs of maybe more around 600 to, lows of 150.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
For the record, if anybody's interested, we actually had 2 events that we held where we surpassed 1,000. We had 2 special concerts at the Rising
Yeah.
Convention, and then the one at Emmons. And all 3 of those were very successful. But one of those was over 1,000 there, and the other one, 400 or 500 routinely, was not uncommon.
So the capital campaign started to
Yeah.
raise the money
Yeah.
to build the big
The
plan.
big church on 3 and 28.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the church
Yeah.
on 3 and
Big
28.
model.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Were you
Which
a
was
part? You were a
designed.
part of that, weren't you? The capital campaign.
No, but Dean was.
Dean Meyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, Dean
Dean's
was
the one
because
that
he
did the
came to our
calling.
house.
Dean came
Ours
calling.
too.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Brad came to our
Oh,
house.
Brad came to our house. Brad Bembo,
Jerry
yeah.
Pearson was part of that by that time too, wasn't
I don't
Was he with that first one?
He was.
he? The capital campaign.
No,
first
he wasn't in the
capital
capital campaign.
Who?
No.
Okay.
Jerry Pearson.
Subsequent.
Oh,
he has
No,
been.
they just started attending.
2 years in. That's when they started.
Okay. But that plan was a design from the architect that did the Welcome Center at the Crystal Cathedral.
Okay.
Oh, it
Robert
was.
Schuller.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I didn't
David
realize
something.
Yeah, David something.
Yeah.
What a
I
coincidence.
don't know. And then
Years.
that big thing was
Model.
very, very expensive.
Yeah.
It was.
I
Yeah.
mean,
What
it
was the original? Do you remember what the original cost was?
I thought it was
Oh, the
$7,000.
model.
It was close
The
to
model.
10.
The model was
The
very
model.
expensive.
Yeah,
no,
it
I'm
was-
saying the building. What was the projected
Oh.
I
cost?
don't remember.
I know millions, but I don't remember.
I don't know.
I
I don't remember.
I want to throw out a figure
The fact-
4 to 5 million, but I
yeah,
don't
the
know.
fact
Yeah,
check
the
is
whole
right
thing.
up
That was
there.
whole-
years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was 2.5. Was
Okay.
the original
2.5.
number.
Okay.
But you know, the capital campaign, the theme,
Yes.
we build
If you
it and
build
they
it.
will come.
Yeah.
Okay.
Field of
And that,
Dreams.
and that the film
What movie was
and
that?
everything that was presented,
Oh,
it
yes.
was all
Our own
it was
field
all
of dreams.
Brad Benbow.
Oh
and
yes,
Scott.
we produced all that stuff. Yes.
I mean,
We
coming,
had pretty good marketing for a startup church.
Yes, we did.
coming out of the
Well
corn
connected.
into the
Yes, out of the cord. I forgot about that part. Yes, out of the
Yeah.
cord.
We were on the cornfield scene at the time.
I know.
Well, and there was a video because they interviewed.
Oh, yeah.
They
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
a video of all the elders in the cornfield.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what he's talking about. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Kind of corny.
Yeah. And
It's
Kind of corny.
yeah. It sold us. I mean,
It sold
we made a
us.
pledge to
Yeah,
do
we
that.
made a pledge.
So did we, man. So did we.
A lot of people
Marcy,
did.
I think Marcy
That's the
Undum
thing.
is the one. Either we went to her house or we went to Marcy did our presentation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
oh, I love Marcy.
Uh-huh.
But you know, those original plans with that big building, but we were also talking about, because we had 39 acres, we're also talking about a retirement home on
Yes,
that.
we were.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's right.
And a kids'
Oh,
baseball
wow, that's
field.
right.
Yes, there was all
of
kinds
that.
of extra things. Yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
So then that kind of, so we go what a year or two, and Clint Dunn gets recruited away
Yes.
by John Henry,
Yeah.
the Wichita Kansas. And
Yeah.
then shortly thereafter, Wayne, there was, you know, I think there were some things that happened with the elders at the time that the Schuler event was an expense. It ended up being an expense
Instead of a.
instead of a fundraiser.
Yeah.
And that put us down,
Way down.
way down. And so that was kind of the beginning. So our numbers started going down when Clint left first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we lost a worship pastor that was top notch,
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, she was amazing.
and he's still doing that down
Is he?
at Keystone's Across.
Oh, is he at Keystone now?
Yeah.
Still
Top
is.
notch.
Yeah.
Church at the Crossing. Yeah.
Church Across.
Yeah.
But Wayne leaving really started kind of a little bit of a spiral of
Mhm.
people leaving.
Mhm.
So the elders at that time, when I became an elder,
Mm-hmm.
not long after that, we had an interim pastor.
Ted Ewing.
Ted
Ted
Ewing.
Ted Ewing.
Came over from Taylor. He was a
Mhm.
adjunct professor
Right.
over
Yep.
there. Very. He was very knowledgeable in lots of books.
That man
Well,
could teach.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's another team that me and Jerry Pearson were on.
Okay.
So that we had a elder meeting one night when Ted walked in late and submitted his resignation to us. And that was the moment that we knew that we had to find a property, that we had to be somewhere.
Right.
And we already owned the plot property at 3 and 28. Owned it, you know, no mortgage, no nothing.
So what year was that probably, Pat? What would you guess?
That would have been in 2007.
Seven?
So
It's
we're
about 16
so
years
go
back.
back 16 years and then go back just a few half a year, and that's when he left.
Okay.
And
2007.
so JD was an elder. Tracy Osborne was an elder. I believe your dad was.
He was. I think it was summer of 2006 or
Mhm.
summer, fall of 2006 is when that was.
And my wife Karen was.
Yeah,
Yes.
she was.
Yes.
Karen.
Yes. Karen was. Okay.
And so, and I was a stay-at-home dad. I wasn't working. Blessed to have Cammie working. I was taking care of Tana at the time, and Kaylin was a newborn when we first moved back to Muncie. So I was this young elder, youngest one at the time, and somebody had to be the one to start doing the legwork on building a building. So I had all the time in the world to start doing all the legwork. I looked at metal buildings, that didn't cost, they could go up quick. I had to do that. What would go up quick?
Yeah.
And so had some ideas, but then we ran into the issue with the highway, getting off the highway. So it was going to cost a lot, 6 figures to get.
Because the state wanted us to put in turn lanes.
To make
Right,
the cut, to
right.
make the cuts. It was 125 to 225,000 to do that. And so that slowed the process down because we didn't have a pastor then when that
Right.
started coming up. So how do you go and get a mortgage from a bank when you don't have a shepherd, a pastor? Yeah, we had a lot of support. We got a lot of people that could maybe step out on a leap of faith and put their names on paper that there's money, but we couldn't do that. And so, it was just pray that something would come up. And so I remember the day I got a phone call, and that's when I was working at the mission, in the new mission building. And it was Jerry. Jerry called me and said, "Hey, I just got a call from Brad." And he got a call from JD. And Carol Bold said to JD's wife over at Taylor that they're selling their property. And I said, okay. And Brad wants us to go out and go and see the property. So that night, the elder group came out here to the parking lot, and we walked in this building. None of this was up. No walls, no bathrooms.
Raybold Studio.
Well, Raybold's studio was actually over there, but
This
this
was his warehouse.
This was his warehouse where he parked his bus, and he had his stage up
He
there.
had a small
For
stage.
videos, he did some videos.
Right, he made
Yeah.
We
children.
had actually been here for a concert that
He was making children's videos and other things. He had, and so there was lots of equipment in here. The sound system was up. We ended up purchasing the sound system. But anyway, we, that was the time where we just had to pray and make a leap of faith again as a
again.
church that this was it. God was up there kind of chuckling a little bit, saying, "Well, you got close. You're within a mile of 3 and 20. You got real close.
You in the neighborhood.
But this is where I want you to be." We came away with, this could really work. He had 385 folding metal chairs.
Yep.
385. 385.
I remembered that.
Wow.
I've
He's
always
a numbers.
remembered that.
He's a numbers person.
He number 350.
I was gonna say
He took-
385.
He took us back. The Broadway curtain was still up. He took
Okay.
us back, and actually the chairs, I think, were on warehouse racks over here
They were.
in boxes, in cases. Oh yeah. He said, "I still have, I got all these chairs, and some haven't even been used." And So
Metal chairs. not
metal
these
chairs. The metal
Right.
chairs we started out in.
Folding, metal
Yes,
folding.
folding metal
These
chairs.
chairs.
Where did we go to the bathroom?
So, so I'm getting to that.
Yeah.
Nobody actually went there.
I did. I
So-
was pregnant. I had to.
So-
Oh, I didn't know that.
So we put an offer on it. They accepted the offer, and
There we go.
and so then the next step was how are we going to make this? So there was no bathrooms.
Mhm.
There was no plumbing.
There was
Yeah,
no
that's right.
plumbing.
There's no plumbing in this building.
So, you got to get building permits and you got to get a county building inspector to let you open up as a building.
Mhm.
And especially when you have people in here, you got to check with fire people. So we had to go go to the state fire marshal. We hired Mike Ellis as an architect.
Mhm.
And I had to go down with an attorney we hired. It was really good at getting variances. So then I talked to the county building commissioner. Can we move in? Can we move in without bathrooms? And he said, well, if you put some porta potties outside.
Did you use the porta potty?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
like I
dear
said, I was
God.
pregnant.
Yes, I used the
did.
porta potty.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody used them.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Many times.
Yeah.
You
And we
get-
had bathrooms over there, but there were sometimes you didn't have very long. You had to get out, go, and get back in.
I'm pretty sure I chucked myself over there every time because I don't remember jumping in those porta potties.
It was icy.
Yeah.
How many did we have out there?
Four.
Four?
Four?
Was it?
Were there four?
I thought there was
And they
more
were
than
susceptible to the
She was
wind.
putting it close.
Remember?
Yeah.
The wind caught them and they started scooting it. So we managed to find
them.
wire rope or something and just kind of weave around them and put them along that rail there. And that took care of that.
We were fancy.
Yeah, we were fancy.
The bougie bathroom.
So there was an original plan to build the entryway out there in that blacktop.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And there would be an entryway into that space.
Uh-huh.
We would get water
Mhm.
in, and you'd have your coffee and everything out there, but it would be built out this way. Well, that was going to cost
A lot of money.
So I was working at the Muncie Mission, the new mission building at the time, and Phil Miller, who was director of the men's program, he comes into the office and he says, and I wasn't quite over retail yet, the attic window thrift stores yet, but he does come to me and says, hey, Union Chapel's wanting to get rid of all of their chairs. I said, really? Okay. I said, well, how many they got? Oh, they got at least 500-600 or more. So yeah, my mind's like, okay, I know a place that could use this.
That maybe had folding metal chairs.
Yes.
That maybe had folding.
385 of them.
Yeah, 385
Somebody
folding.
too
Yeah.
well.
So my office is right across from the president's office. So I walk over to Ray's office, Ray Raines, and said, hey, Phil just told me that Union Chapel wants to sell us some chairs. I said, what do you think you would price those at? I think I know a church that would like those. Oh, $5 or $6. I said, really? I said, deal. So
Joshua and Laura came when they had their interview or whatever. I don't remember exactly what the timing was, but we still had the porta potties out front.
yes,
And later on, Laura and I worked together, and she said, when I saw that, I said, no, no, we're not doing that.
But Joshua was told during an interview that he could do whatever he wanted with the service. And he had some plan of like bringing a car in here, something like a 57 Chevy. I forget what it was. And yeah, you can do that. So that's what sold him. He said, well, if they're going to let me do that or do stuff like that, that's my church.
I remember he knocked a door down.
So I was elder when we were interviewing candidates, and Al David's dad was in that. It was up and down. I mean, we had some people come in that, no. Some maybe, yeah. But Joshua came in, and that was, we were pretty solid there. We were all in, it was 100%. It took a little bit. Some of us had some. We had the mortgage. We had a mortgage. We did it without, and I think we mentioned about, leaps of faith and just stepping out. And that elder board stepped out, and we did this without a pastor.
Yes.
With an interim, and that's when we had the Robin Wood come in and church plant the group out of that he did church plants out of Anderson.
Had two different interims. I can't remember that.
And he did the postcard mailings that had some of us as families. Remember, they did a postcard mailing out to the community to try to bring people in. And
but that goes back to the church is the body.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And
Right.
that leader that our lead pastor may come and go, but
Yeah. It was the people.
It's the people. And
Yep.
and I mean, I think it's interesting because I, more tonight than ever, have realized how many of the most major steps in our church have taken place at a point in time when there wasn't certainty about a lead pastor.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
And how remarkable is that? Because it just goes to show how strong the roots are of what this church is.
We now call that family. You notice, you look right back there, and we use the word family all the time now. It's still the people, but that just draws it in closer because you think about what families have to go through.
Absolutely.
All the stuff, the good and the bad and the growth and look into the future. Families have to look to the future.
Absolutely.